Hello, my name is Germán Llanos, and I have a question for you. Do you think freedom of speech is respected today? Now, there is something called cancel culture, and what I want to show you today is that this cancel culture can have a detrimental effect on society. And you may be wondering what cancel culture is and why it is related to freedom of speech. And I'll show you in just a minute. Now, on the one hand, we have this famous philosopher, Voltaire, who said, I don't agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. And on the other hand, we have people who would say, I don't agree with what you say, so I'll make sure you don't ever say something similar again. And this idea of not agreeing with what someone says and making sure they don't ever speak again is what makes up the cancel culture. And as I said before, what I want to show you today is that this cancel culture can have a detrimental effect on society. Now, to start with, the cancel culture fuels censorship. Now, there's a funny video called Here's What Cancel Culture Looked Like During Medieval Times, in which we see a group of peasants who are witnessing the execution of a woman for something offensive she said 11 years ago. And one of the peasants says, let's judge past statements by present day perspective. And this idea of judging the past using present day perspective could be considered one of the tenets of cancel culture. And because of this tenet, many classics, many films have been banned, they have been canceled. For example, The Odyssey by Homer. Now there was a Massachusetts high school teacher who said that Homer was guilty of indulging and spreading sexism, racism, ableism, and all kinds of nasty stuff. And because of this, according to her view, this book had to be canceled. And during medieval times, we see monks who were supposed to decide which books should be preserved and which books should be canceled. So you can see that there is some similarity between this teacher and medieval monks. And even worse, because the Nazis would burn books, they would cancel books by burning them because they thought their content was unacceptable and nobody should know about it. The content shouldn't influence people's minds. And my question is, should we cancel the classics? Should we behave like these people who burn books, who cancel books, who decide which books should be read and which shouldn't? Now, footnote here. What I want to what I mean is that not agreeing with cancel culture doesn't mean that you agree with sexism, racism, and other stuff. In fact, for example, let's take a look at this picture. What I mean is that we shouldn't cancel this picture. What we should do is we should analyze and reflect on what this picture shows, on the content of this picture, and we should think about why is it wrong? Why is it morally wrong? Instead of canceling it, we should talk about it, not pretend it never existed. Because how are we supposed to learn from the past if we sweep it under the carpet and pretend it never existed? How can we how can we reflect on things that never happened because someone decided to cancel them and pretend they never existed? Now, the second reason is that cancel culture does not promote different points of view. Now, let's take a look at this quotation from a book. It reads, it is intolerable to us that an erroneous thought should exist anywhere in the world, however secret and powerless it may be. Now, if you asked me, I would say that someone who agrees with cancel culture would say something similar. But do you know where this quotation is taken from? This quotation is taken from George Orwell's book, 1984. And if you've read this book, you may think that there is a similarity between the people in this book and the cancel culture. Because, in my opinion, cancel culture would say something similar to this, that they can stand that there are erroneous thoughts going around, and we should deal with these erroneous thoughts. There shouldn't be different points of view. There is only one point of view, and that's us. And do you know why they think so? Because as they see and as they say in this video I mentioned earlier, we're all perfect. We are the ones who are right and they are wrong. Our point of view is the right one and theirs is wrong. And therefore, nobody should know about their point of view. So do we really want this? Because no dialogue, no debate means no room for a more inclusive and civilized society. If we don't talk about things, if we don't share ideas, if we don't share our different points of view instead of sticking to only one point of view, how are we being inclusive? How are we being civilized? We are excluding other people's thoughts. Where's civilization in that? You know? And what I want to show you is that our different opinions should not make us enemies. And this brings me to the third reason. Cancel culture can put us against each other. Now, there are certain people who, because they don't think the same way they do, they believe they can't be friends. They think, I can't be friends with someone who doesn't share my opinion. So if you don't think the same way I do, I have to cancel you. I have to unfriend you as you would do on Facebook. So is this right? Have you ever stopped talking to a friend just because they have a different opinion? And this is the case of, for example, Jennifer Aniston, the actress. She she cut ties with friends who would refuse to get a vaccine against COVID. I mean, I wouldn't like to get near people who don't want to get the vaccine, but that doesn't mean that I can be their friend. Just because you don't want the vaccine doesn't mean I shouldn't be your friend. But okay, it's a decision, it's your opinion, but is this reason enough to stop being friends with a person? I mean, just because they don't think the same way I do? It's like this Star Wars scene, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. If you don't have the same opinion I do, we can't be friends. And as a counter argument, they would say something like that they have to absolutize today's many moral compasses. There can be only be one point of view, our point of view, and that's it. And we have good intentions for doing this. That's what they believe. Okay, so in conclusion, I've shown you that cancel culture can have a detrimental effect in society because it fuels censorship and rejection of opposing views. And this rejection of opposing views is what can put us against each other. If you don't think the same way I do, I can't be your friend. I'm canceling you because you don't think the same way I do. And is this okay? I'm sorry, I have to insist, but is this okay? Should we do this? Okay, so my final message for you is that if we don't want to convert 2021, sorry, and every other year into an Orwellian 1984, we need to build a more inclusive and civilized society for all. As I said before, we don't want to impose our ideas on other people. I mean, we shouldn't impose our ideas. And we shouldn't stop talking to people, trying to cancel people just because they don't think the same, they don't think the same way we do. So this is my final message for you. And as I said at the beginning, maybe we should think like Voltaire. We should say, I don't agree with you, but I respect you. I will defend to the death your right to say it. You have a right to say something similar to what I think, and that's okay. There's no need for you to think the same way I do. Thank you.